Saturday at the Salvation Army. It's an honor and privilege to be here. Can I get a volunteer to read a portion of chapter 3?
My name is Jared. I am an alcoholic addict.
Hey, Jared.
Chapter 3, more about alcoholism. Most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. No person likes to think he is bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Therefore, it is not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts to prove we can drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday, he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion is astonishing. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people, or presently may be, has to be smashed. We alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to control our drinking. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control. All of us felt at times that we were regaining control, but such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less control, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. We are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. We have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery, followed always by a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe that they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who has shown an inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with and without a solemn oath, taking more physical exercise, reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum.
Let's get there at hand. Thank you. And can I get a volunteer to read a portion of chapter 5?
My name's Nick. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Nick.
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping or developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these, we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will, our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all the persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to prove our conscious contact. And God, as we understood him, praying only for knowledge in his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter of the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he was.
All right, thank you. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. The AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any cause. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. My name is Anthony Houston. I'm alcoholic. Very grateful to be here. I'm sober by the grace of God and the power of this simple program. It's really an honor to come and talk to you guys, even on a Saturday night. Even on a Saturday. If you would have told me this 12 years ago, that I would be here on a Saturday night talking about recovery, I probably would have laughed in your face. And if you persisted, I might have tried to fight you and either got beat up or something like that. I would not have thought I would be here sober. Never would I thought. My sobriety date is March 21st, 2014. At the end of my drinking, it was really bad. Miserable, actually. Waking up anywhere from 12 to 2, getting dressed, sometimes earlier, getting dressed to go get a half pint of Kessler whiskey. Then after I get home, and sometimes I didn't even make it home before I open up the bottle, get a good drink in me. Then my mind would race on how I could give me some stimulants. And then if I got some stimulants, it was another pint or half a pint towards the evening, and then more stimulants. And that was the cycle towards the end. not working. It was just awful, really awful. Grew up in Los Angeles, and we went from Los Angeles to La Puente, California. Then I lived a little bit in service in San Antonio, Texas. Back to La Puente. I stayed very briefly in Pomona. And back to La Puente, and now I'm out here in Bakersfield. Yeah. You guys mind if I tell you a little story? You guys don't mind? All right. So in La Puente, they had this famous guy by the name of Chewy. Chewy, we all knew Chewy. Chewy grew up in La Puente. He was really famous at that time. They used to talk about Chewy. Chewy just had a lot of friends, I would say. Chewy had a lot of friends. But Chewy drank just like we all did at that time. Chewy drank. And things started getting bad for Chewy really, really fast in his early 20s. And I'm not sure exactly what was Chewy doing, but eventually Chewy, who was staying with his parents, they upped and left. Just kind of upped and left. And they left Chewy the house, but because Chewy was not working, he could not pay the mortgage. They came, evicted him, and he ended up staying at friends' on surface and garages. But everywhere he went, he would burn a bridge. Because Chewy knew a lot of people, so he did that for 3 or 4 years with a one friend and another friend. And he'll burn that bridge, and then he'll go to another friend. And still in his late 20s, Chewy ended up behind the liquor store, still drinking and doing what we did at that time. And got really bad for Chewy too. And actually everybody's seen it. You know, it was like, okay, Chewy was a fun guy, humorous guy to be around. Now Chewy's just drunk all the time. Friends kind of like fell off. We kept drinking. Sit up there in front of that liquor store because he knew everybody. We give him money. You know, sometimes, he thought that was love, but really we just kind of fed his alcoholism. And at the end of Chewy's drinking, he was no shoes on, dirty, hadn't shaved in a while. And like I said, we kind of seen this coming. One day, somebody found Chewy dead behind the liquor store, but it wasn't a surprise. He just died behind the liquor store. But since he knew everybody, we all kind of got together and he said, we're going to look for his parents. People searched and couldn't find his parents. We wanted to give Chewy a funeral because he knew a lot of people in La Puente. So we bought Chewy a suit. We found a mortician and cleaned him up, got him shaved, cut his hair, washed him down. The hard part was finding a preacher, but we eventually found one. Raised car washes and raised the funds to bury Chewy. And you guys mind if I stand up? At the funeral, very wonderful funeral. Preacher stood up like I'm standing up and said, well, we're here today to honor and pay our last respects to Chewy. And he looked over in the casket, looked at everybody. He said, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys any false stories about how Chewy lived. We all know Chewy. And he looked over in the casket. He said, but before we leave today, I want each and every one of us to take a look, our last look, at Chewy. And he looked over. And he said, because it's amazing how good you look when you stop drinking. Everybody look good today. And I kind of guarantee you on this end, if you don't get up and you listen to what I say, you will not have a drink for about 40 minutes. Guaranteed. That's all you got to do is sit there and listen. Again, my name's Anthony. I'm an alcoholic. My mom and dad, my dad was a merchant mariner, made pretty decent money. My mom was a seamstress. My dad drank. My mom didn't. I grew up on 61st Street in Hoover in Los Angeles. And it was a different time then. I walked to school probably like first grade, about 2 blocks, city blocks. Nobody had to take me. I wouldn't suggest doing that today. In third grade, I actually caught the city bus to school because we went from 61st to it was Santa Barbara then. It's actually Martin Luther King Boulevard now, down the street from the Coliseum. And I caught 2 buses, one on Santa Barbara to Figueroa, got off that bus, caught another bus from Figueroa down to 61st Street Elementary. And after school, I would get on the bus, catch the bus, get off the bus, get on another bus, go home. But I say it was different then. Never had no problems growing up. I did always feel a little different. I was a skinny kid. And if you haven't noticed, pretty dark-skinned. So I'm skinny and dark-skinned. And I just felt different. I just felt a little different. Even before I had a drink, my whole family, mostly all my family, drank and smoked weed. So about the age of 13, there was weed left on the dining room table, reached over. And since I had been seeing it almost my whole life, grabbed me a zigzag, put some weed in that zigzag, rolled it up, and started smoking. And I remember the feeling I got. It was like, woo, hey, all right. My sister came home. I guess she seen the way I looked. She asked me, "You been smoking?" I said, "Nope." She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're lying, you have." But at that point, I was 13, and it was like I was accepted into it because I have 2 older sisters who are twins, one since passed away, and I have an older brother. And I'm the youngest of the family. I have 2 sisters that grew up out of state in Tennessee, and then I had a brother and 2 twin sisters out here in California. And at that point, I was actually welcomed into. I'm like a bee in a beehive. It's like I fit in now, at least with my family. I fit in, and then I found friends who did the same thing I did. And eventually, my first drink was Old English, a quart. One of the older guys in the neighborhood. He bought it for himself, but he went somewhere and told me, "Here, sip on this. I'll be back." And it was about 90-some degrees that day. And I'm probably like 13 or 14. And I got to sipping on that thing. Start sweating. And he came back. And even though there was some left, he was a little upset. He was just a little bit upset. You know what I mean? Give my beer. Here, take it, And I would like to tell you guys, my first drink was bad, but it wasn't. It wasn't. The second drink wasn't bad. I remember catching a bus downtown. This was a long time ago. Downtown Los Angeles, they had theaters downtown. And I love movies. I even love movies today. Catch the bus downtown, watch a Bruce Lee movie. I love Bruce Lee, man. I did. I liked all the karate movies. Even when the words didn't match. You know what I mean? Just loved him. One time I had stopped and it was easy to get beer. Then, even at 13 and 14, all would go to local liquor store, ask somebody to buy me one. I don't remember how much they was. Give them the money. They come out, give me a can of beer, and boom. Did that before one of them Bruce Lee movies. Bought some licorice, ate that licorice, started drinking that beer, and I remember throwing up. And my head said, "Damn, that licorice ain't no good." We had a lot of good times when I was growing up. We went to Venice Beach, Redondo Beach, Hollywood. We went a lot of places. I went to a lot of concerts when I was younger, drinking and doing other stuff. It didn't get bad until I ain't gonna even say bad. I could say, I remember in high school, my mom, because my dad had passed away at the ripe age of 54. Passed away from 54. He drank. And this illness that we have killed him. And the doctors told him, you keep drinking, you're probably going to die. And he just could not stop. So that's exactly what happened to my dad. And that was in 84. I graduated 85. And I remember in 85, my mom told me, you know, your dad's an alcoholic. And I didn't say nothing really derogatory, but my head said, what the hell that got to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. That's what my head told me. And I kept drinking. Like I said, it was still fun at that time. It was even fun when I went to the Army. Graduated. First job was at Wiener Schnitzel. That was my first job. Worked at a factory, aerospace company. They didn't pay much. So I felt like they was using my ability. That's what I felt. They not paying me enough. And after that job, because I just kind of quit. After that job, somebody suggested U.S. Army. I didn't have no direction at that time, so I joined the Army. And that's what I would tell you guys and other people. That's really where my drinking kind of matured in the service. Everybody had money. I could borrow money. I could borrow your car. I could borrow your apartment or your house. Because some people went out, they call it bivouac. They'd be like, hey, I'm going out for a week. You can stay in my apartment or you can stay in my house. Okay. You can use my car. Okay. It'll be here when you get back. If I ran out of money, I could ask somebody to loan me money till next month. And I got paid once a month. And if I didn't have nobody and I didn't really want to ask nobody, people were like, hey, what you doing? Chilling. You want to go with us? I ain't got no money. It don't matter. Come on. And my drinking really kind of escalated. It's escalated. But like I said, I was still having fun. The Army didn't have a problem with my drinking. Not a problem at all. Even though I strode up one formation, drunk, wobbling. The sergeant had a problem. He was cussing and screaming, spitting all on me. But the Army didn't really have a problem with me. What they had a problem with was my crack smoke. We don't mind you drinking, but your crack smoke. So they kicked me out for that. And after I got kicked out, I worked for Kaiser for a while. Got 2 DUIs immediately after the service. Before I could go to court on my first DUI, I got a second one. And I remember thinking, you know, just don't drink and drive. That'll work. Just don't drink and drive. That'll work. Still having fun. After two DUIs, still kind of having fun. Still having fun. I got married before the Army. 4 kids came along. Still thinking I'm having fun. And maybe the fun had ran out at this time. I'm not sure. But I'll tell you guys what happened. I went to Kaiser, and I would get paid on Fridays. And I got paid on Thursdays. So some Fridays I would call in because I would be drunk. So I would call in some Fridays, like, you know, oh, I can't make it. And then that happened for a little while. And then my supervisor called me into the office and says, hey, you've been taking Fridays off kind of too regularly. If you do it again, I'm going to have to let you go. I was like, okay. No, that ain't going to happen no more. I say about maybe 2-3 paychecks later, got paid on a Friday, started drinking. And I remember my wife telling me around 2:00, hey, don't you have to go to work tomorrow? I told her, don't worry about it. Never went to work, never went back to Kaiser. I had a lot of good jobs, I just really couldn't keep them. It was funny when I got sober, the longest job I've ever had was actually in the service, 18 months. I would like to tell you I'm one of those alcoholics who worked all the time, kept the family together. That's not my case. My case is my alcoholism took me to places I didn't want to be and would go, put me in situations that were dangerous, jail. Then I started going to prison. In 2012, I got arrested again, going to a market to steal some meat. That's how bad it was. I couldn't even really feed myself. At this point, my mom left the house. She just jumped up and did a Chewy, left me like Chewy. You can have the house. I'm out of here. So I'm in this house. It's a trap house. And I'm going to steal meat because I ain't got no job. And you guys know how I look. I'm waking up to 12 to 2 o'clock, getting a half pint, maybe a pint, some stimulants, another pint, more stimulants. And it's miserable. You got people running in and out. And this is the house I grew up in. And it's miserable. Miserable. Go out to steal some meat, get arrested, and I'm back in prison for the 4th time. And I remember thinking, man, this is crazy. And I kind of think about the house, but I can't tell you guys the whole story. It's kind of hard for me to tell you the whole story. But I do remember this very clearly. Me and a guy are talking about what we gonna do when we get out. And I'm thinking, man, they only gave me 18 months. That's a year and a half. And that's the shortest time I've ever gotten. And I remember telling him, dude, I can sleep for 18 months. I can sleep for 18 months. And what I'm going to do is when I get out is I'm going to get me another sack, find that schizophrenic girlfriend. And when I get caught, because I know I am, because I've never really got away, all they're going to do is give me 18 months, as long as I don't hurt nobody. That was my plan when I was in prison. Very distinctly, I remember that. And then in prison, I heard a lady, she told me my story. And I never told her. She said she lied, she cheated. She's an alcoholic. Her family wasn't nothing to do with her. And at the end, she didn't have nobody to turn to. And she said she attempted to sell narcotics, but she was always her best customer. And I was like, wait a minute. You were always your best customer? Because I was always mine. I was always my best customer. And it just made sense. I was 42 years old in prison for the 4th term. And I'm sitting here looking at old guys in prison with me. And something said, I don't want to be like that. The 2 DUIs that I got out of the service, the court sends me to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And when I came to you guys, I didn't want what you had. The service sent me to a program, and I don't remember the name because whatever it was, I didn't want what they had. When I went to college, a psychiatrist told my instructor that I needed to go to a 12-step program. And when I went, I didn't want what they had either. I just didn't want what you guys had. Nope. It wasn't until I was kind of desperate and old. That is one of the great things that I kind of resent, is that I got here at the age of 46. I see some young people here. I hope you get this thing like only the dying can. I heard that in Long Beach. I'll get to Long Beach too. In prison, Candace, that was her name, after she told her story. And I said, hey, you know what? I really want to be sober. She said, you know what you need to do? Get a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and read it. And I didn't have nothing but time, right? I'm not getting out tomorrow, so I can read this book. I suggest read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I think I'm a pretty smart guy. I don't know about you, but I think I'm hip, slick, and cool on some days. That's how I thought of myself. On some days, not every day, right? If I'm too drunk, I'm not too hip, slick, and cool. But on some days, I got this mind, man. Shit, I might be able to talk you out them tennis shoes. But on some days, you might be like, all right, you can borrow them. You'll never see me again. But hey, thanks for the shoes. I'll bring them back. She told me to read the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I read that book, did not understand it. I don't think I told her that because I still had this pride and ego that would not quit. She told me to get honest with myself. She said, yeah, you know, I've been here doing this for a while. People come in and you ask them, you know, about their life, and they still got the yacht, the boat, and the beautiful woman at home, lying. They come from Skid Row. But sometimes your ego won't let you be truthful, right? And I started being truthful then. I was like, you know, started drinking. It was fun. Problems, a little bit of problems. At the end, all problems. And I got honest with her. She told me to write it out, wrote it out, 2-page letter, gave it to her. I don't even know if she read it or not. I don't even think it matters. Gave it to her. She told me to start going to meetings. I started going to meetings. And this is the part where I actually like H&I. I was talking to a guy in H&I, and I couldn't tell you his name, and I can't remember his face. And I told him the old song and dance. Hey, I really want to be sober. He said, you know, he was brutally honest. I've heard that song and dance before. If you truly want to be sober, go to recovery home. I was like, they didn't send me to no recovery home. How dare you? But because of Candace, and I'm being honest, I thought about what he said. So that's when I left Chino State Prison and went to recovery home in Long Beach. And I had 6 months at that time. 6 months of sobriety. If you have over 6 months or under 6 months, you are in the right spot right today if you want to stay sober. Really, it don't matter to me. You guys might think, oh, he's here for us. I'm not here for you. I'm here for me. That's the cold, honest truth. I'm here for me. I like being sober today. Actually, I love being sober. I love the rooms Alcoholics Anonymous. I love the steps. I love my sponsor. I'll get to all that later. I went to Long Beach. In Long Beach, they told me some things that I had already heard before. They told me, go to meetings. Telling you, go to meetings. They told me, read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Had heard that before. Actually, I had read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. But I talked to this guy named Big Rob. And I respected Big Rob. They called him Big Rob because he stands 6'7". So I looked up at Big Rob. And I don't know how the conversation is, but the book of Alcoholics Anonymous came into conversation. And I said, Big Rob, I read that book. I don't understand it. He looked down and said, well, you need to go to the book study. I said, what? He said, go to the book study. And I went to a book study of Alcoholics Anonymous. This guy named Aaron with horn rim glasses and a button-up shirt. Looked like he was an accountant. And he explained the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to me. And in that meeting, you know what I did? My head said, that's why I can't stay sober. Because I don't know when, but I had made plenty of promises to me, to my family, to my employers, to school, to so many people, friends, that I wouldn't drink the way I drink. And every single time I just could not live up to it. I truly did not know this is an illness. But in that book, and when somebody explained it to me, I have an illness. You might have it. I don't know. It's a kind of like, you can't tell somebody they're alcoholic. They kind of have to figure it out themselves. I figured out I was an alcoholic. And I have this mind that will sentence me like a prison sentence to drink even when I don't want to. I could be walking down the street, good intentions of just going to the bank, going to the market. This is when, it was still fun. No intention of drinking. And something in this mind will say, dude, a drink sure sound good for some ease and comfort. Those words come out of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know them then. But something in my mind would say, man, a drink sure sounds good. I take that drink. Man, there's so many times I would take that drink. You guys know where I would end up? Be honest with you guys. I would end up on Skid Row. I did Skid Row for about 7 to 8 years, staying with my mom. And she in the house, who will open up the door for me. I'll take a drink, and I'll end up on Skid Row, thinking this is the life, no responsibility. Everybody down here, living a good life. I don't know what I was thinking. I just can't figure it out sometimes. Now, as I think about it, that's crazy. That's crazy to be running the streets, putting myself in danger and jeopardy and prison for a drink. Oh my God, but I've done it over and over and over and over. So they told me I had an illness, and you can stop beating yourself up about it, but we have a solution. If you have this illness like I have, we have the solution. And it's very simple. That's when the sponsor come in. Because you can read the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous all you want. If you be a real alcoholic, self-knowledge is not going to keep you sober. You can know all about alcoholism, the ins and outs, and you might not be able to stay sober if you're a real alcoholic. That's where the sponsor come in, and that's where the steps come in. 1 through 12. And this is what they told me. They said, listen like only the dying can. And they always said the same thing. Go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps. It don't change. Every meeting, go to meetings, keep coming back, get a sponsor. You're not married to him. You can get another one. Man for man, female to female, it don't change. After you get a sponsor, work the steps. All of them, 1 through 12. There is no elevator. Stuff just don't change. But I listened. I just didn't really want the pain to return. I definitely want to go back to prison. And when I found out I have an illness, I was able to say, that's why I can't stop drinking. Thank God, man. You know what I mean? That's why. And I started doing what you guys told me to do, which is go to meetings. Next one. Got a sponsor? I got a sponsor. And what did I do? Oh my God. I got out of prison with nothing, you guys. My family wanted nothing to do with me. There was a point in my life, my daughter, my youngest daughter, didn't even want my grandkids around because of my drinking. My mom jumped up and left California to go to Florida because of my drinking. I have 2 sons, 11 months apart. One of them still kind of resents my drinking because that's all he remembers is me drinking. That's it. I have a son who sometimes forgives me for my drinking, and some days he throws it in my face. Oh, never want to talk to you. Okay. Radio. You guys gave me clothes. I remember I got to Long Beach, man, and I didn't really have none. Didn't have none. Guys gave me clothes. I remember a guy came out and gave me some shoes. Like, you need these? I was like, yeah, shoot that. Some guy gave me underwear. I was like, thank you. I ain't gonna put them on, but thank you. That's what my head said. I ain't gonna put them on, but thank you, because I do need them. As I stayed sober, man, guys took me to go get a Social Security card, an ID, stayed sober. I eventually got a debit card. When I got to Long Beach, I always kind of kept a sponsor, even though I've had a few of them, because you guys told me I'm not married to them. I'm not married to my sponsor today. And I'm one of those alcoholics. I don't put my sponsor on a pedestal. You know why? He's just the man. And I'm not one of them. Some people, oh, my sponsor this, my sponsor that, my sponsor this. I'm not one of them. He's just the man. He has his faults, just like I do. And if you're really honest, just like you do, I only know one person, kind of, who walked on water. Only one. He raised his hands. Me. That's the only person I know walked on water. So as I worked steps 1 through 12, what happened was I had a spiritual awakening and I didn't know it. There's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out. But as I worked 1 through 12, life just got better. For one thing, I was able to stay sober. I remember hearing you can stay sober on fear for a while, but it's not lasting. And maybe I stayed sober on fear in the beginning because I just didn't want the pain to return. And I didn't want to go back to prison. But when you guys told me it doesn't last, and the book tells me the same thing, that one day I will forget the pain and my head will again tell me to drink, I made that commitment because I had already made it because I just didn't want to drink, to really work the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And then I read in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't know what it says, but it says, until I do, this relationship, me and sobriety, is not consummated. You guys know what consummated is? Like, I've been married twice, right? It's not a union until I work the steps. And every time I got married, I don't know about you, but I wanted to consummate some stuff. I wanted to consummate some stuff before I got married. This sobriety, I wanted as a union for us to be one. So I worked the steps, even when my head told me, okay, 1, 2, 3, and decisions, I can read, I know the illness, I know what happens when I drink. Self-knowledge won't keep me sober, but all this telling somebody about my shortcomings, that's the one that but I made a decision to do it, and I did. And life, as I've done the steps, life slowly got better. And it's really indescribable of the blessings that I have today. I used to make a gratitude list. I used to have them up in my room on a board, and I've looked at it for 2 or 3 years. Then one day I just took it down, because that gratitude is not only on a piece of paper somewhere, I don't even know what the paper is, but it's actually in my heart. It's eternal. Some days I want to cry because of the sobriety that I have. That's how I feel. So grateful. And don't clap. But I choke it back. I'm hardcore. So I choke the tears back. But I'm so grateful to be sober. So grateful. I just wish like I told you guys, I wish I would have found this thing when I was. So I left Long Beach, went back to my mom's house. She had came back. She had went from California to Florida. She came back to California to take care of the home because I was not there. She was there. Got there, then still didn't have nothing. She didn't trust me. I had made kind of promises before to her. She had seen me make many a promises. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. Everything's going to change. That never happened. This time, she didn't trust me, but I kept going where? To meetings. I kept meeting with who? My sponsor. I kept working what? Steps. Yep. Eventually, she learned to trust me. Eventually, I got a job. I stayed sober. And that's the beauty of the program. There's a lot of stuff that I can't describe to you guys because I just can't tell you everything. There's a peace that I can't describe. There's a contentment that I can't describe. There's a point in my life where everybody doubted me. And sometimes I even doubted myself in the beginning that are you going to be able to stay sober? But eventually, I was like, man, okay, step 1, check. Step 2, check. Step 3, check. Step 4, check. Step 5, check. 6, 7, 8, 9, check. And when I got to 9, like you guys had told me, it was like an inner peace. I was making amends. I was taking care of my mom who took care of me all those years. I had cleaned out the roaches in that house. Because when I got back there, it was full of roaches. It took me 2 years to get rid of roaches in that house that I left as a trap house. I was able to fix all those windows that were broke and patch up all those holes and paint the outside and the inside and get the grass back green. And then eventually I got a job. I started going back to school. And eventually, families start talking to me again. And one day at 3 years sober, I read in the big book Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't know what page, I'm not a big book thumper. I had substantial sobriety at 3 years. If you get 3 years, you got substantial sobriety. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you got to get 20. No, you might not even make it to 20 years because we don't even know if we're going to be here tomorrow. Make it to 3 years and you'll have substantial recovery. Substantial. That's what the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous said. Bill Wilson started this program with less than a year, him and Bob. They wrote the book. I don't even think they had 5 years, and they wrote a book. Under 5, they wrote a book. They built up a fellowship in this program early on. So when I got to 3 and I read the big book and all that other stuff, yeah, man, y'all should see my head. It blew up again. But then I had to bring it down to the right size. Because really, I don't keep me sober. A conscious contact with a God that you guys have given me allows me to stay sober one day at a time. And that's through the steps. Not through my sponsor. Not because I go to meetings. Those are things that are part of recovery, not recovery. There are a bunch of people who have a sponsor and go out. There are a bunch of people who go to meetings and they drink again. I haven't seen too many that do the complete program and don't stay sober. Usually it's because they stop going to meetings. They lose contact with their sponsor. They haven't worked all 12 steps. They don't want to be of service. They don't want to shake hands with the next alcoholic. They don't want to humble themselves. Not humiliate yourself, but you don't want to humble yourself. When I say humble, I'm not talking about being humble to you or the next man, or sometimes you gotta be humble to your supervisor, right? But I told my supervisor no this week, he didn't want to take it. So I softened it up, but it was still no. But really you have to be humble to is the one that keeps me sober. Oh my God. I couldn't even be humble to that. When I was drinking, I couldn't be humble to God. What? Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat on my wife? You done lost your mind. I'm going to do what I want to do. It's not like that today. And even though I sometimes fall short of his chosen, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's a simple program. I don't want to seem like it's complicated. It's so simple. For those intellectuals out here, don't overthink it. It's so simple. Don't philosophize it. Don't Freudian it or Carl Jung it or Erickson it or Maslow it. Don't do none of that. Don't do none of that. Keep it simple. And I'm going to end with this. Go to meetings. Get a sponsor. And work the steps. All right, thank you. And can we get a volunteer to read the final reading?
Mike Alcoholic.
Hey, Mike.
This is for you. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Thank you. After a moment of silence for the alcoholic who still suffers inside of these rooms, please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Whose Father? Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.